Okay, let's invite in the lineage of the Rav and Karen, Michael, Rav Ashlag, Rav Brandwein, the Ria Kodesh, the Ramchal, Rabbi Tarfon, Rav Mazulai, Rabbi Nachman Mendel Levatepsk, Rav Kolon Shapir Piasetza, the Baal Shem Tov, Rav Shimbai Chai and all of the students, Rav Mordechai of Chernobyl, One Soul with Yosef Itzadik, Joseph the Righteous in Shechem. By the way, tomorrow is the anniversary of elevation of Rav Ashlag's teacher. We don't know his
What's
name.
his name, David?
We don't know his name. We just know that he was a hidden tzaddik. So, but we do know his anniversary of elevation. As we connect to these verses, let's have a consciousness. This is our one world energy encounter with the Zohar. Let's have a consciousness of no matter where we are, we're connecting to the flawless universe through these verses of the Zohar. And toward that end, we want to connect to the energy of healing for everyone we know who needs healing, whether it's physical healing, emotional healing, spiritual healing. We also want to connect to the energy of Ahavat Chinam, unconditional love, and treating everyone in the world with human decency. Also, we want to remove negativity, gain protection from evil eye, from evil speech, and also sending energy of elevation out to everyone we know who has recently passed, Shmuel ben Ruvain. And just think of the people that we know. If you know their names, even better.
Can
Yes.
we send some extra energy out? And I'm not sure of her name. My sister's wife, grandmother, transitioned the other day.
Yes, absolutely. Do you know her English name?
I don't know her name.
Okay, so
yes. I just know that my niece had been posting it.
Okay, all right. Yeah, absolutely. The thing about when people who we are connected with, when they pass, the stronger connection we have with them during their lifetime, that connection is maintained. Just because they pass doesn't mean we lose that connection. So this is a really important thing for us to always consider, even more so with family, even more so with people who we probably connected with prior to this lifetime. And so when we're in that situation, when they pass, when we're visiting with their family, if we're making a condolence call, if we're at a funeral, that soul is still there in a confused state because the soul is elevating from the physical realm and breaking the bonds of connection. That's why we have all these restrictions about what family members do when they lose someone in their family. And specifically, within the 7 days of Shiva, there are restrictions that we do. Within the 30 days of someone passing, there are also restrictions. And for 11 months, people are saying Kaddish. So all these things are geared towards two things, really. One is assisting their soul in elevating, because it's difficult. So like during Shiva, which is where most of the restrictions are, the 7 days, it's like, the mourners, they sit close to the ground. They do all these things that they're doing are to ground themselves, to ease the transition of the soul that is passing. So on the one hand, we're just assisting them with the initial transition, soul-wise. On the other hand, we are sending them blessings to help with their elevation. And you can always send them blessings. And the things that we do with them in mind sends them energy of elevation, because in our realm, we can elevate our souls. But in the upper realm, there's nothing you can do to elevate your soul. That's why we come here. So the people that we're connected to, when we do things with them in mind, we assist their souls in elevating. That's why we say many times, it should be an aliyah for the neshama, which means it should elevate their soul. That's what we're talking about. You got to buy into the concept of soul, though. Otherwise, it doesn't work. And not everyone does. So it's just important. I'm glad you brought that up, Rocky, because it's something for us to always consider and to always think about, because those connections are still there, and we do things here. We can do them with those who we're connected to, with their merit in mind. Even more so on a holiday. even more so on the anniversary of their elevation, when they are it's the closest they are connected back to physicality, the day they left this realm. Okay. Anyone want to volunteer to read English for us today? Maria, you're shaking your head, but do you want to read?
Peter raised his.
Wait a second. Peter, did you raise your hand?
Peter raised his hand.
Glory.
Peter is the consensus choice. Okay, verse 52. The Ashan de Salik mi Pumaihu b'mile de oraita iu Ashan hamaracha dimesadrin la umarichin la lagabe bala kegom ba'alotcha et hanerot the itma bahon lahalot ner tamid uva Ashan hamaracha the anan hakatoret the oraita Ashan dila yitar miliba lagabe chachmata the iu kamocha kagabna de anana. Ditaruta d'anana miliba, hadhu dirtiv be'ed yalem min haaretz ulevatar v'hashka et kol pnei ha'adama. So in this week's portion, there's a lot of discussion of the practices that took place in the Holy Temple, in the Tabernacle. A lot of the portions we read in previous week were all about the construction. But now we're talking about the actual service that took place. Great. Let's just dive into, history from 2,000 years ago about animal sacrifice. What possible relevance does it have to our lives today? Well, it's important to know your history. Is it though? Is that what this is about? Is this some like really specific upper level class on the practices of the children of Israel 2,000 years ago when the temple stood? I mean, how far fetched can you get? How could this possibly be relevant? Oh, but it is, as we'll see. And remember, it's always about the internal energy. And I don't care what's going on in your life. It's always about what is going on behind the scenes. This physical experience we're having is an illusion. I mean, science knows it. It's just so inviting. It's so overwhelming. Physicality is so central to everything we do physically that we forget it's all energy. So part of what we hope to awaken today is a greater appreciation for a deeper reality, because the more appreciation we have for the deeper reality, the better decisions we can make, the better path we can create for ourselves. I just want to read a quote that came from Michael Berg's teaching. I actually added this to our Monday through Thursday class. Hang on, I gotta find it. I added to the description. It's this one line that I wrote down, but it applies here and it applies to everything we do. Michael said, this is from Vayikra this year, the more deeply we understand the spiritual workings, the more power we have to awaken this spiritual healing. Those were his exact words. What he's talking about is, why do we have to delve into all these details? Because the more we understand the system, the more healing and fulfillment we can channel into the physical realm. By the way, tonight, I don't think it's past midday yet, but when it is past midday, the energy of Shabbat is already infusing our realm. And so this Shabbat is called Shabbat HaGadol. It's always the Shabbat before Passover begins. There's always Shabbat HaGadol. So the question is, what does that mean? It literally means the big Shabbat. I mean, it's getting longer on Saturday, but that's not what it's referring to. By the way, midday is 12:55. So before we end class, we'll already be past midday. The energy of Shabbat will already be infusing our realm. What's the big Shabbat? It is sea level for all the Shabbats for the year to come. So it is a very, very significant Shabbat. Every Shabbat is significant, but this one in particular is. Okay, let's dive in. Peter, let's go slow.
The smoke coming up from the mouths of the sages of the Torah with words of the Torah is like the smoke of the wood set on the altar.
Okay, hold on a second. The smoke coming from the mouths of the sages of the Torah with words of Torah is like the smoke of the wood set on the altar. I'm pretty sure I had this on my SATs. What do you call those things? This is like that. So this must be like that. What do you call those things? It's not a simile, there's a different word. But anyhow, in what way?
Marge said similes.
Similes. Okay, yeah, maybe it's similes. In what way is the smoke coming from the wood on the altar like the words of Torah coming from the mouths of Torah sages? But that's what the Zohar is saying. What does that mean? Anybody?
Yeah, David, you've shared and our teachers have shared, right? The black letters on the white Torah, right? And you can imagine them jumping off the parchment. And when you think of the sages communicating, if we could see, we know there's something visually coming out too. It's not just auditory that we hear, but we just can't see it. So there's got to be some connection between those experiences. We just don't see it.
Okay, so that's good. There's some depth there, a lot of depth. That's good. Anyone else?
The power.
Oh,
The power that those words in the Torah versus the power that the wood has when we burn it, the outcome of it that give us the authenticity of it.
it's powerful energy. Yeah, totally. Totally.
Yeah, like I have had the experience of actually seeing like on Shabbat, the letters move a little bit on when they raise it. I've had that happen to me twice at least.
How would you describe that?
Meaning, like how it happens, or
Well, what are you observing? What do you see?
I was confused at first because I'm like, wait a minute, am I dreaming or did I have something for breakfast? I was a little bit, weird. But then I was like, oh, makes sense.
All right.
I mean, first I felt the confusion, then it's like, well, this is the energy, I guess.
Yes, it is. It's great. It's a great illustration. Thank you for sharing that. That's awesome. And these are all great. Anybody else have anything they want to say?
Yeah,
Andrea?
I was just going to add to here. I hear what you're saying because I've experienced that as well. It's almost 3D-ish, like they're coming out, and they're also sparkling.
Oh, sparkling. How about that?
They're like shiny, sparkling.
Yeah.
You just described it because
Yeah.
like I was having a hard time coming out with the words. But yeah, exactly.
They sparkle.
Yeah, they shine.
Yeah, one of the ways that's been described is like black fire on white fire. How poetic. No, but literally it's black fire on white fire because it's energy. And really, we look at like the Torah scroll. Remember, it's ink on parchment. We look at it like it's ink on parchment. But really, we look at the letters like they're really significant. They are, don't get me wrong, but really the letters is blocking out the light of the white. So perhaps what's more significant is the parchment itself. Not that the parchment is significant without the letters, it is. It's more significant with the letters on it. But essentially the letters Look, the color white, the reason why Kabbalists dress in white is because it's a reflection of all the spectrums of light. The ink on there is blocking that. So when we read it, we're reading the letters, but essentially the space between the letters is a reflection of the colors of the full spectrum. And it's energy. It's energy.
And I have heard some people say that they actually also hear sound sometimes, like the ringing of bells or something like that. Other people that have had experiences while
Because,
looking at.
yeah, 100%. Because remember, our five senses are filters. We look at our five senses because of physicality, because of body consciousness, like that's how we interact with the world. And it is how we interact with the world. But on a whole different level, it's also, they're filters. They're not letting everything in. They're only letting in what we can handle. They're only letting in what our brain can process. You know, in every situation that we're in life, we're always trying to make sense. We're always trying to connect the dots. We're always trying to figure things out. But to a certain degree, we also we delude ourselves. This must be what it means. But it's limiting. This must be what it means based on my life experiences. But many times the universe is trying to get us to see something beyond our life experiences, to expand our perspective, to expand our vessel, to see the possibilities. This is why Kabbalistically, we always want to experience life without limitations. We want to experience the light of the Creator without limitations. When we think of things in a physical way, we've placed a limit. But the reality is it's limitless. Energy is limitless. The light of the Creator, limitless. And so when we're studying how these things work, which we're about to get into, we want to look at things in the broadest possible perspective and not limit. And when we can see the actual levels between where the Creator is and where we are, those 10 sefirot essentially represent levels, a hierarchy of energy, of channels. And the more we understand how that energy gets channeled into our realm, the better able we are to help channel that energy. And by that energy, I mean fulfillment. And by fulfillment, I mean healing. I mean happiness. I mean soulmate energy, partnership, understanding, human decency, respect, showing up as the best version of yourself, in spite of how the people around you are showing up. Of being sensitive to where I am feeling like I can't do that. Like it's a limitation I place in front of myself because of body consciousness, because of ego. So this was all about us finding ways to connect to the unlimited. What's the unlimited? Well, the light of the Creator is unlimited. Everything we're encountering looks like it's limited. But it's not. It's just that's how we encounter it, through body consciousness, through our five senses. So the opportunity we have today, all days, but right now with this particular study, is to connect to things in a much deeper way and see things in a much deeper way. And it's totally aligned with Passover coming up. Because as I've said, that first bite of matzah Wednesday night is probably the most powerful one. You're crushing your ego. It's uninflated bread. It didn't rise. It's like our ego is like all about like just, this is it. What do you mean this isn't it? Of course this is it. No, this isn't it. Okay, so here's a couple other things to think about. And most of them you guys all touched on about why the smoke coming from the wood on the altar is like the words of Torah coming from the mouths of Torah sages. Well, one is a very simple level. Smoke is the release of moisture from the wood. It's a release from the wood. It's breaking it down. It's releasing these things from the wood. And when we speak, there's moisture coming out of our mouths. In both cases, it's like internal energy from inside coming out. It's very basic. It's very basic. On a deeper level, when Torah sages are sharing words of Torah, when they are teaching spirituality, when we're all studying it together, we are connecting to the flawless universe. Those words is not Shakespearean literature. Those words are vehicles for transmitting energy from the flawless universe into our realm. Shakespearean literature doesn't do that. That's what our holy writings do. It's just a transportation system. It's like a super highway into the upper realm. And what's happening on the altar? Well, the fire, the flames are assisting us through the sacrifices in removing our blockages. It's a sacrifice. You know, I used to think sacrifice means, oh, we're putting the, the pigeons or whatever, the calves on the fire. That they're the sacrifice. Yeah, we're the sacrifice. We can't get onto the altar. That is something we have given. It's our sacrifice. I mean, can't we do other things like, I don't know, volunteer at the food shelter, at the homeless shelter, or at the handing out food? Can we? Yeah, we could do that too. Those are sacrifices. But this is a supernal sacrifice. This defies logic. This was set up to assist us in removing blockages. They're all, anytime you're sacrificing something, you're giving of yourself, you have an opportunity for growth. But the tabernacle and the temple were extra, super supernal. How do we know that? Because it was part of the delivery system of the Bible, of the Torah, that was given to Moses on Mount Sinai to assist us in manifesting immortality in this world, in returning to the Garden of Eden consciousness. Now, we kind of blew it with the golden calf thing, but that aside, we still have those opportunities, and the sacrifices are there. The temple was there to assist us in removing those blockages, in removing the negativity that we've picked up in our life through decisions we make based on body consciousness, through decisions we make based on desire to receive for the self. So again, this is awakening within us a deeper appreciation for all the things we do. And it's never okay to say we don't know the reasons. We do know the reasons. We do know the reasons. Blind Faith is a great restaurant in Evanston, but we don't do things blindly. Sometimes we do them and hope to understand the reason. But we always need to be asking ourselves, what is the purpose and meaning behind what I'm doing? Okay. Any questions before we go on? Okay. So we don't have the temple anymore. We don't have the tabernacle. We can't do the sacrifices. We can't put the wood on the altar and light the fire and do the sacrifices and see that single stream of smoke go straight up into the sky, which is a physical manifestation of the sacrifices that we were making. By the way, I don't have a source for this, but my understanding is no matter how hard the wind blew, the smoke went straight up. So we don't have the opportunity to do that anymore, but we do have the opportunity to connect with the spiritual essence of sacrifices when we study the sacrifices. Part of the reason why and significance and meaning and purpose of the readings that we have that discuss the sacrifices, because when we're reading about it, when we're studying it, it's akin to actually doing it. It's the closest we get, but it's us connecting to the same internal energy of the sacrifices. When you study the sacrifices, you're connecting to the same internal energy of the sacrifices. And every day in our connection books, in the beginning prayers, right after the Anava Koach, there's a whole paragraph about that. We replaced temple sacrifice with giving of ourselves in prayer and connecting to those verses and the internal energy. Okay, Peter, let's continue.
The secret of Malchut, called a set, since she is set for her husband, Zerampin.
Okay, so with some help from Abba Shlak here, we see that we have the secret of Malchut called a set because Malchut is a set for Zerampin. Meaning, it's male energy, Zerampin, and Malchut is female energy. This is not a gender thing. This is about potential and manifestation. And when there is alignment, the energy flows from potential into manifestation. When there's a lack of alignment, it doesn't flow. So we can't manifest from potential. Which brings me around to this whole conversation about, which we have had before. We are beings of desire. It's not going to happen if we don't desire it. Matter of fact, we came here to earn these things. That's why things don't show up right away. When I experience lack, it's the universe, it's the creator saying to me, you need to really work on your desire. The greater desire, the more manifestation. Your vessel, I think my vessel, like, I'm 5'10", whatever. No, your vessel is not based on physical dimensions. That's a physical vessel. No, your vessel is based on your desire, your capacity to channel energy from the upper realm is the size of your vessel, your vessel's desire. The greater your desire, the greater your vessel, the more you can accommodate, the more capacity you have to channel light from the upper realm. Okay, so the greater, I have to work on my desire. When I don't feel fulfilled, when I don't whine about it, just ask the creator for help with a whine. No, just pour a glass of wine. Just ask the desire, the creator for help. I'm trying to manifest this blessing, but isn't that desire to receive of the self? So we want to always couch it in terms of, this is my desire to receive for the sake of sharing. I can't share without this. If my business isn't solid, I can't share as much. Literally, I'm literally distracted. By the way, one of the things that our teachers teach is, and Michael talked about this within the past couple of weeks, is that the source of our soul and the source of money come from the same place in the upper realm. So they're connected. My physical and spiritual sustenance, I'm asking for a better ability to connect with my soul to manifest the best version of myself. But I'm also asking for the material energy to manifest materially so I can do that. This again is not a desire to receive the self. This is transforming my desire to receive for the sake of sharing in all ways. Yes, Rocky.
It just brings to mind that if I can't give what I don't have, if I don't have it, I can't give it. I can only give what I have. And if I'm not bringing in revenue, I can't employ people, which means that they can't send their kids to college. They don't feed their families. It becomes a burden on society because then society has to figure out how to do that. So that's the desire to receive for the sake of sharing, right?
That's correct.
I want to make sure.
And also, when you model that, you're modeling that, you're not only doing it, but you're modeling that for the people around you also. It's transforming their desire to receive of the self into desire to receive for the sake of sharing. It's like we want a world where I don't have to worry about myself because I got a world around me that's thinking about everybody. That's what we achieved at Mount Sinai. We achieved complete consciousness of desiring to take care of everybody.
Mm.
But we get hung up like, listen, if I don't take care of myself, who's taking care of me? Yes, Andrea.
He also said there's a third component it's anger. So that's also in that same root, but
Yes.
that's on the negative side.
Absolutely. I actually had this conversation with someone after hearing that class. I have someone I know who's selling their business and they haven't been paid yet. I said, look,
Don't be angry.
Kabbalistically, the money you're receiving is coming from the same place as your soul, but it's also coming from the same place as anger. And the other side is going to try and get you angry. And in that way, take the energy that's coming for you. So don't get angry with the seller and what they're putting you through, because that will block the manifestation.
Well, I also took it as whatever anger you have that you're holding on to, grudges, and let it go, because there could be so much. I mean, the Creator has so much abundance for you, but you're just not manifesting it.
You're
because
blocked. That's anger is essentially, it's a block. I don't like the hand I was dealt. Yeah, how do you know? How do you know it's a bad hand? Oh, tell them it's terrible. They did this, they did that. It's positioning you to receive sustenance. We got to let go. It's taking energy away. The other side that's what they're here for. Exactly what the other side is here for. By the way, they also say, like, here we are, it's Shabbat again coming, right? 12:51, in 4 minutes, the energy is going to start infusing our realm. Chicago time. They also say that one of the big moves of the other side of the Satan is to, like, before Shabbat. I mean, it's a tremendous amount of light that we revealed tonight. Do not get triggered by your partner. That's what the other side is trying to accomplish. To steal some of the light that would otherwise be coming for us on Shabbat. And that light is already infusing our realm past midday. So that's when the Satan ups his game, his or her game. So there's a tendency to get, like, on edge, resist, restrict. And by the way, it's going to be super intense as we approach Passover also. I mean, any of us who've already, in all that Passover preparation, is so much going on. The level of intensity is like overwhelming. And I don't mean just the cleaning. That's how we try to make sense of, because of all this physical preparation. No, your physical mind is connecting the intensity of the energy with the things that you're doing. No, it's not what it is. It's the amount of energy that's coming through in this window in time that we call Passover. I don't know what time Passover starts, but let's say, just for argument's sake, it's like 7 o'clock. If you eat the matzah at 6:59, it's just a dry cracker. At the Seder, Passover night, it's breaking all kinds of spiritual blockages.
Isn't it interesting that all this unrest was going on in Israel, like in right close to Passover?
This is, I mean, they began, I was thinking about what he said. It's a very unstable time period. He said that before the unrest.
Hmm.
This is a very unstable period of time as we move towards the Seder. There's a lot going on. It's a tremendous, the supernal realms are creating all these channels for us to manifest all this energy on Passover. We're there. We are there. We're moving in. Train has left the station. It's happening. It's very heavy stuff. Very heavy stuff. So that's why we're experiencing the heaviness that we're experiencing. If you're on this path, you are probably sensitive to the energy, visually and spiritually. You're feeling the energy. Don't mistake it for, physicality. No, you're feeling it. We project it on physicality because that's how we're physically wired. It's not what's going on. And so we'll be tempted in all kinds of ways to react because the other side wants that light. And so the other side's here for it, to make sure we don't get that light. But that's why our consciousness is so important and how we see things and our ability to restrict. So the other point I wanted to make, which somebody talked about, so it's my desire that's my vessel. And the larger my vessel is, the more blessings I can manifest from potential to manifestation. So then I should walk around like in lack? No. And that's the paradox. No, you walk around like you're fulfilled. Physically, you don't experience that. But spiritually, you are. Because spiritually, when the upper realm is connected, when Zeir Anpin is connected to Malchut, it's all flowing. It's there. I mean, what's the difference? The slice of pizza is not there. No, it's in the freezer. You just have to pull it out and pop it in the toaster oven. It's there. It's in potential. It's there. You have the slice of pizza. I can't eat it. It's literally frozen. No, that's just physicality. It's in potential, the freezer. We're going to manifest that. And so, yes, I desire that slice of pizza, but I also know that it's there. It's just there in fulfillment. And so that's how we resolve this paradox between being desirous, but not living in lack. And it is a paradox. Peter, you want to continue? Peter, do you have a question?
No, I'm just waiting for you to break and then I'll read.
Okay, go ahead.
This is so in the verse, when you light the candles, which speaks of raising Malchut, the secret of the candles to Zeir Anpin, as it says to them, to cause the candle to burn always. Namely, Malchut called candle.
So this is, with, again, the lighting of the candelabra in the temple. There were 7 stems corresponding to the 7 sfirot, the 6 of Zeir Anpin and Malchut. And so lighting those candles is one of the ways we have of creating that connection. We're big on candles. Like, we don't start any of Shabbat or a holiday without lighting candles. That's it. That's the event. You light the candles, done. We're there. Again, it's this unification of potential and manifestation. Like, where is the energy from that candle light coming from? Well, I mean, the wick, the oil, whatever. But it's manifestation. We're transforming that energy actually into heat. We're manifesting it into our realm. This is an old one, but significant. Candle, you light a candle, it's one of the few things that defies gravity. Flames go up. So literally, everything else, gravity is the ultimate desire to receive the self. The planet Earth pulls everything in. But candles represent this connection between upper realm and lower realm because it's manifestation, but it goes against gravity.
I thought you were gonna actually say that when, when you use a candle to light another candle, first thing that happens is the flame increases and then it settles back down, but it doesn't diminish in its own light.
Another example of how candles defy physicality. If I take $10 out of my pocket and I give it to Peter, I have $10 less. But if I take my candle and I light his candle, I haven't lost anything. It's unlimited. It literally is a manifestation of no limitations. I can continue to light candles. I'll never diminish my candle. So it's a really important, when you see things in physicality that defy the basic laws of physicality, you know you're bridging that gap between physicality and the upper realm, because nothing goes stale in the upper realm. So to bottom line this, because we're out of time, to bottom line this whole idea of the temple and the sacrifices and the wood and the flame that never went out and the smoke that went up from it, we lost that. It's part of our history. No, 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 no. You study it, you're lighting it. It's there. You're manifesting it. We're manifesting it through our consciousness and through our connectivity and through how we're viewing it. And by talking about it and literally sharing it with the world, we're creating all kinds of connections, removing all kinds of blockages, manifesting all kinds of unlimited fulfillment in our world. And that's what we have this Shabbat as we move towards Pesach, Passover, and the opportunity to manifest untold blessings for the world through the work that we're doing. All right, everybody. Shabbat Shalom. Love you all.
Shabbat Shalom.
Thanks for joining.
Shalom.
Happy
Thanks, everybody.
Passover.
Yeah.
Passover.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.